Welcome back to the channel. Frustration. Many people are feeling extremely frustrated right now, certainly in states around the country that are on lockdown and have just received notices and information that their states will be on lockdown for several more weeks or several more months. It's a tremendous amount of frustration that people are feeling, especially when during this crisis, this global situation that we find ourselves in, it's been difficult enough over the past 2 months. And now a lot of people are going to continue to have to deal with this. This is going to be, as we talked about in the last video about the economy, this is simply going to spiral into a lot more difficulty, especially if the government does not step in financially, and they certainly have, but getting those funds to the people, and even those with small businesses, has been an extremely frustrating element of all of this. So while the government has come out and said, yes, here's all of these extra funds that people can use as stimulus through this. We had to force this lockdown. It wasn't at your, this wasn't by your choosing. This was by ours. This is kind of somewhat, this is on us. So we're going to help you. And none of those funds, for a majority of the people, have reached their intended destination. Now they're talking about additional stimulus where original stimulus funds still have not reached their destination. So frustration is escalating at epic levels right now. And in a lot of swing states, the extension of the lockdown is making people extremely frustrated, where they're going to the state capitals, they're protesting, they're sick and tired of this. They're seeing that these effective numbers of individuals are very, very low, and we're really closing down an entire country because of these low numbers. In fact, in San Diego, the coroner report just came out, and it said out of the 194, I believe, confirmed deaths that they had, they only actually can attribute 6 of them directly to the virus, to this condition. So why in the world is San Diego, for instance, on lockdown along with the rest of the state of California? It's just not making sense. And again, in the video yesterday, I talked about how low the percentage of actual fatalities is. Any fatalities is a very, very difficult situation. But do we take away automobiles because they kill tens of thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of people a year? No, we don't do that. Do we stop flying in planes because every now and then one of them will crash and create fatalities? No, we don't do that. Do we take playground equipment out of schools because a few children playing on them may fall and get hurt? I'm certain that some again have died because of it. So do we do those things? And the answer is no. So why is it that through this event, why are we closing down and continuing to shut down this country? It's just not making sense, and the frustration level is now to a point where so many people are talking about it, especially why is it in all of these swing states. It's very, very interesting to note that this whole entire event might not have been about a health crisis at all. It might be about something far more sinister, and that could be about the upcoming election. There's a lot of talk about that. This is nothing new. People have been talking about this for the past several weeks and over a month. For certain, I've been contemplating the thought, and more information is now starting to come out about the possibility that we're dealing with something that is not as health related as we may have thought. So this is important, again, to keep in mind. In this battle that is raging in the heavenly realm between the powers of good and evil, we need to look through some of the propaganda that's happening here on the surface level, some of the rhetoric that we're hearing, a lot of the manipulation, a lot of the falsehoods and false narratives, all of that. Look past that. What are we talking about here in the heavenly realms? Well, there's no secret that the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, was an individual that was selected by God, placed in power, again, I believe, for derailing plans that God's enemies had in place in order to change the world as we know it. So God can see everything. God knows everything. He's omniscient. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. Every single conversation that happens between good people and evil people, he's there. He can hear it. He can digest all of it. Not that he even needs to be there and listen. He has the power to simply just understand what every single human being on the face of the planet is thinking at every single moment of the time of the day throughout their whole entire lives, right? So we just simply cannot think about that type of intelligence, but that's just God's nature. That's just an ability that God has. While we can't understand it, we just need to accept it. So why did God put Donald Trump in this position? And from day one, in fact, even before day one, during the time of even his election process, he was being attacked and he was being allegedly set up from the beginning. But throughout all of the obstacles that they have put in his place, in front of him, that they felt that there's no way he could possibly overcome this. No way. He's overcome every single one of them. Why? Well, the very simple answer is that, as I've alluded to just a couple of God's amazing abilities, God created this entire universe. He can do whatever he wants. And if it's not in God's timing that this agenda against humanity was put into motion, he can stop that agenda at any time. Donald Trump, I believe, is the roadblock within that agenda to stop that agenda from moving forward at the time frame those that are trying to push this agenda on the world felt was the timing of it. People can make all types of plans and decisions anytime that they want, but if God were to say, that's not the actual path you're going to take, that's not the actual destination you're going to get on the specific time frame that you've allotted, this is what you're going to do instead, then that's just simply the way it's going to be. This event is playing out to reveal the exact same thing. In my estimation, continuing to look at this from a 30,000-foot view, God has his fingerprints all over this. He is exposing the corruption of not only in our country, but throughout the world. He is giving people this opportunity, and the opportunity to rid yourself of this evil that has been enslaving you for so long, free you from it, and give you the opportunity at that moment, once this is over and done with, to then say, which side of this battle do you want to fight on in the events leading up to the final battle. There's going to be a window. In other words, you just kind of see what's happening. It's like we've dealt with this. We've been in enslavement. This event's happening. God's going to take us out of this event, and then is going to give us this time period of reflection on what we just went through and how we just dealt with it, and the decision of where our allegiance lies on the other side of it. And then at some point in the future, again, I have no idea when, but events will lead up to an ultimate final reckoning of what's been happening all throughout humanity. And then that will then lead us into an amazing world. And that's what my belief is, that what is actually happening right now. So this event is giving us all, is percolating all kinds of things up to the surface that we can all now finally see. Things behind governments and behind organizations and behind nefarious individuals with agendas, they've all been connected over time. And in my book, The Deathless War, I talk about how in the world do all these organizations, governments, individuals, how do they all collect towards a common goal? That's always when you know that there's something in the dimensional realm that's happening, that's adhering all of them together, moving in a specific direction, all tandemly together. So when you see things like this happen on a global scale, it should instantaneously remind you that there's something in the dimensional realm that is happening, that is influencing people's dimensional form. They're then acting that influence out, and moving all tandemly in that direction. So again, I understand your frustration. I certainly am trying to temper my frustration throughout all of this as well. But I also know and certainly believe through faith that God has his hands all over this, that he is going to take us out of this. He's going to rid the world of the corruption, of the nefarious agendas that have been plaguing societies for years, and give us a window of opportunity to align ourselves with him, be part of God's army, and fight literally and figuratively to the death in the final battle, but have the strength to be able to do it because we've aligned ourselves with him through this, and thanking him getting us through the current situation that we're in. I know you may not see it right now. Sometimes I feel like I have, let's say, blinders on, or I'm in the fog about it. And what I'm seeing actually aligning with what I believe is actually happening. And the seeing and believing to me is really when I get rid of all the static. That's really what I'm feeling deep down inside. And I know many, many people are. We don't know when we're going to ultimately come out of this, but it certainly seems that it's going to be sooner than later. So hang in there. Keep the faith. Keep tuning in. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for your time, and thanks for watching.